Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Permission Granted Podcast. We're so happy to have you here. I'm Shelly Peterson, and I'm here with Eva Ponce and Kasha Rashbal. And this is my first time leading the intro because apparently I am so fired up. The girls just made me do it. So welcome to our episode today. We are talking about societal conditioning and breaking free of that, and how even when you're doing the work and you think you're doing it, there's just so much more to do. It's like, it's really hard to kind of get out from underneath the idea and the belief system that was created when you were very, very small. So, for example, with money, we were just having a conversation about money and how we just, oh my gosh, I'm losing the thought, ladies. What were we talking about?
Well, how we think we're thinking our own thoughts, but we really aren't. Like we're thinking the thoughts of the past. And sometimes you don't realize it until you get smacked in the face with something and you're like, why can't I figure this out?
Yeah, definitely.
And also like the perception of we're thinking we're making up our own minds and we're making up our own decisions. And a lot of the times it's everyone else's learned behavior that we've we've done so well in behavior as far as listening to everyone else's everything else, that we don't even realize that if we step out of that situation and really analyze, well, this doesn't feel good to me, but we're still doing it. It's because we're conditioned, exactly like Shelly said.
Yes, exactly. It's like you're told to, be quiet, be seen and not heard, and don't break the mold, and don't look at me that way, and don't step forward, don't speak your truth, don't have an opinion, like all of these things, even from the time, like I remember those things when I was 3, right? Like, and yet there's all this like backwards talk too. Like I used to get the whole, oh, she's too shy, she'll never make it in the world kind of stuff, right? It's like, no, I'm not shy, I just don't like you.
Exactly. I just don't want to talk to you.
But we didn't have the ability to say that. And then, you get to be an adult and you're like trying to design your own life. And it's like, I don't even know what that looks like. What does that look like? How do I get there? I can't make my own choices.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part that I think we've all came across in our journeys, because we're still all in a journey. We haven't stopped. We've just taken little pauses to redirect and reroute ourselves. But now empowering ourselves with our own thoughts and really sitting with them and knowing and kind of being in tune with what really feels good and doesn't feel good. We've all been there, us ladies here on the podcast, and for Kim as well, that we've gotten to a point that we're really trying to learn how to trust what our instincts and our intuitions are telling us. And Kasha can go into a little story about what just happened to her this weekend, and trusting that decision making.
Yeah.
Where we wait for, it's so conditioned for us to wait for everyone else to feed into okay, how should we go about this? What do you think I should do? We're not even taking our own perspective into account. We're taking everyone else's opinion, and then we're throwing up the lottery ball and saying, okay, well, let's see, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah. So last week I put out there a really big manifestation. I'm part of a Power of 8 group, which is based on Lynn McTaggart's work. And it's a manifestation mastermind. And I put out this really big dream that I never even thought I would ever dream that dream. And all of a sudden it's like, here it is. And I spoke it. And it felt really good and I felt aligned. And then, so that was last Thursday. This week, I have the opportunity to join up a whole new, I have an office in downtown Kelowna, but I was approached to join with a new healing center being opened with a whole bunch of like-minded practitioners and like-minded people. And I was like, but I have an office. Oh, but this new thing feels so much more expansive and exciting and great. What do I do? How, right? How? Oh my God, how? And that was the hamster wheel. And I spent half a day freaking out. And then I sort of, my training and my education kicked in going, right, the how is not up to me. So what is it that I want? And my word for this year is trust. So if anything, how am I going to trust that if this is what I want, that it's all I got to do is decide and declare, and then the universe has my back. And so, sludging through the mud, I did that. And lo and behold, half a day later, literally yesterday afternoon, I went back with my husband to look at the office. And I told, all of us ended up meeting there again. And I'm like, all right, I'm taking this one. I'm manifesting someone to share it. And like 5 seconds later, that person, like, we're doing this. Right. So my rent is going to be cheaper. It's going to be more movement, more free parking for my clients. They don't have to pay for parking anymore. Like it's a win-win. All I had to do was decide that I wanted it, and
Trust.
And that's it. Like, how simple, right? But how hard, because it was literally, I thought I was climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
Well, because we're conditioned with all these shoulds and stuff. Like you should take less so that your family can have more. And you should, you shouldn't want to be bigger. You shouldn't want, like there's all these shoulds and just these impressions of what we're supposed to do. Right? You shouldn't spend more money. That doesn't make sense. It's counterintuitive. If you need money or income, then why would you spend more on an office? Because now you're going to be in this beautiful energy that you have so desired for so long.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to create so much more, right?
More exposure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is what mindset's really about, right? When people are like talking about mindset, like this is what it's about, is building the belief and breaking the conditioning.
And the trust factor. Like for me personally, you ladies know in the beginning of the year, I had a little setback here in our household. And I was so conditioned to believe that I had to figure out the how to get out of this particular circumstance. And I focused so hard on the how that I was forgetting that I really needed to let that go and let the universe really guide me to my next steps versus me trying to sit there and force the situation to happen and have an outcome that I was so like trying to control, that when I let that go and I just put it in the universe's hands and I rendered it, and I can believe that the best outcome for me will come if I just let that go. Sooner or later, that's exactly what happened. I just got word like a couple of weeks ago that exactly what I wanted to happen happened, and I didn't have to control and micromanage it because I trust and believed and I let that go.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? And like,
awesome.
My husband was injured a month ago at work, and it was like immediately I went into this place of fear, like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, what are we going to do? This isn't, like you hear all the horror stories about people being on any kind of benefit from being injured at work and right? And I was like, no, you know what? This is going to easily flow. We're going to follow the guidelines of what we're supposed to do. We're going to do everything on time or ahead of time, and it's just going to work. And it has. It has. We are fully supported. And even though I've been in stress, I have been trying to take care of myself more.
Yeah.
And manage my energy and care for my energy. And honestly, that is building the belief even more, because like you have to feed yourself. You have to feed that belief, and feeding that belief means feeding you.
Right? And I mean, the three of us, and Kim included, have been doing this work on ourselves for years. Like, we're not even talking a few weeks. This is like years, decades, right? And things still, for me, and I'm sure for you ladies, have a long tail from the past, right? So I just want to, like, this is simple stuff. And I just want to say, if you hit roadblocks, if you hit, things that don't go your way right away, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. And that's where my mind goes. Like, that's my conditioning is, if I hit a wall, oh my God, I did something wrong. What did I do? Like, I suck. And that is
what did I skip? Like, what step did I skip? Yeah.
And the truth is, we're not skipping steps. It's just because this muscle for me and so many of us is so flabby, right? We can't go from bench pressing like 2 pounds to bench pressing 400, right? There's a step, lots of steps in between. And so the practice of, and the reminders, and that's why I love having you ladies, because I can message you and freak out, and then you remind me of what the truth is and what my power actually is.
Yes. I want to share something with you that I learned last week from a lady named Jasmine Ivy, and she said that you only have to believe 51% more than you don't, right? You only have to believe that 1% more than you don't.
I love that. I love
Isn't
that.
that so powerful? Because I think that we feel like we need to be at 100%. You know, we have to be feeling 100% our best. We have to be in our prime. We have to be doing as much as we can. We have to be, you know, believing all of the way with no doubt. Otherwise, it won't work, right? It's okay to have doubt.
Yeah.
It's just you have to believe more than you doubt it. You have to believe 1% more.
I love that.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, like you ladies will agree, like I am like the maven of self-care, and I think this is also a practice of self-care, is really strengthening that trust and believe muscle with discipline and consistency. Like we're so quick to let fear settle in. It'll sit us down, it'll cripple us, and we stand still treading water when we just need to just keep going. No matter how fast we're moving or how slow we're going, if we just keep going in that same direction of where we know we need to keep going, that's also an act of self-care, where you're not giving up on yourself, where you're strengthening that discipline muscle, where you're showing up no matter what the cost is. You are still battling to show up for yourself. That is most important as well.
I was personally deeply conditioned to follow the rules, follow instructions, follow people, not be the leader, right?
And don't deviate.
I'm called to lead now, and I'm like, I don't know how. You know how.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is, you know how, and you have to believe and have faith in yourself that you'll figure it out as you go.
And not everyone's meant to follow you, right?
No,
and that's okay too.
You don't have to reach all of the people.
No, you don't. If you reach some and not the many, that some are the people that are going to be humbled, to be, you know, privileged to be in your circles to learn from you.
100%. If you can help one person, like,
you've made a difference.
How amazing is that? Exactly.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So, permission slips.
Let's see. Permission granted to show up and lead in the way that you're called to show up and lead. You shouldn't have to follow everyone else's conditioned, cookie cutter ways of showing up to lead. Follow your intuition, follow your inner guidance, and you shall overcome and lead the way that you were meant to lead and be of service.
And permission granted to allow yourself to exercise that muscle slowly. Don't expect yourself to all of a sudden have it all figured out. Do it one step at a time, and remember as often as you can that you actually have all the tools.
Yeah. Permission granted to keep going, because when we hit that wall, when we hit that doubt or that insecurity, you know, it doesn't mean we have to start fresh. It doesn't mean we have to stop. It doesn't mean that it's all over. It means that something's calling you to pay attention, and you can do that. You can look at it and move forward and move on past it. So keep going. Awesome. So great episode this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure that you check out the links below for our permission granted manifesto and any other goodies that might be down there. Check out our website for past episodes, and be sure to subscribe and share. If you love this message, share it with your friends and your people. So have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.